Whew. What's good, everybody? Y'all see your boy glistening. I'll be done in a second. Just get my ass. Just had to walk out here for a minute and share these thoughts. I'm gonna do a quick video, just a thought that ran across my mind from this past weekend, and if y'all hold me across the street first, I'll be here to tell y'all. All right, so this past weekend, I attended an awesome brunch that was dedicated to Black men's mental health. And I did some other stuff. It's getting more and more into Black men mental health. As a long-time master's level social worker, 25, 26 years in the game of substance abuse treatment, psychosocial education, facilitate all kinds of groups, anger, theft, marijuana intervention, what else? All kinds of groups, substance abuse therapy groups. I've done it all in 26 years. And I'm always excited when a young Black male has come to my office over the years. In the last 7 years I do virtual. I haven't been in an office. That's the way of the world these days. Virtual is everything on the computer. But I prefer to be in person because I really like that. But however, y'all wanna know something? Stuff just kind of hits me. And I'm gonna make sure it's recorded. These particular thoughts, y'all know these are my thoughts, not yours. And go over to my YouTube channel because I'm gonna put this up on there as well. But this whole topic of masculinity, they call it toxic masculinity and hyper masculinity and all this kind of any way to stretch it around and water down what being a man is. And you know what? The feminists, the liberal white women kicked it off and the Black women picked it up. So much so, in the last 30 years, women have been pretty much in charge of raising boys. You got it's so much so, but let me start off by saying this. I'm 57 years old. I was very fortunate, and I say this, because the time we live in, I don't think I would want to be born. I was in the first grade in 1976. I'm from Memphis, so in 1976 I was at Whale Station, and I was in the 80s. I went from junior high to high school, graduated from high school, old funk-ass Fraser High School in Memphis, Tennessee in 1988. And then I turned 21 in 1990. I think in 1990 I turned 21. And so I had all my 20s in the 90s. I turned 30 in 2001. I gave y'all this timeline for there's a method to this madness. And there was the 70s, 80s, 90s, 3 decades where I saw men. See, I grew up where men were men. Testosterone was through the roof. They were men. They had wives and, their children, and men were the coaches. They were the teachers in the schools as well as the coaches. They were the math teachers and stuff. The men in my neighborhood. Mr. Stone, I think Raymond Stone. No, that's his son. Mr. Duckett. Damn, I can't think of Sabrina's dad, but Mr. R.L. It's just Reverend Davis. How y'all doing? It had a lot of men in my neighborhood on my street growing up. A lot of men that had wives and children. A lot of masculinity flowing. And there was women and girls there too. And I noticed when the rise after 96, 97, there was this rise of this new thing, started attacking, the masculinity in boys. It started early on because Dr. Jawan Kunjufu writes about this stuff. Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. Those are his 3 books. Check it out. They're thin books, so easy read. First 1 and 2, y'all really need to get into those books. Volume 1 and 2, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. But, and I remember black women being so pretty and natural. It had actual Coke bottle shapes. Fat chicks was not even on top of the thing. They were there, but they wasn't relevant like they are now. Obesity wasn't brand name as sexy, as beautiful, none of that. It wasn't. I mean, I got to see Soul Train when I was a little kid in 77, 78, 80 and all that. And look on Soul Train. Y'all see nobody on that. Y'all ain't never see nobody on Soul Train when it finally ended, what, in 90s something, late 90s? Or we ain't see nobody there with a dress size over size 9. If she was tall, she wore 10. But she had slender hips, nice booty, nice legs. It wasn't none of this stuff we got going on now. And they had that natural hair. They wore wigs, but they wasn't lace fronts, tearing out the edges. They had eyelashes, but they want these camel eyelashes. No, and this, I'm telling you this because there's something that's changed. Meaning, what I'm pointing out is that the women of that day were very feminine women. Let me tell y'all something. When I was a little kid in the 70s, mid to late 70s and early 80s, before crack came in 85, when I was in junior high school, black women were some feminine, beautiful women. Even when they behaved badly, they were still fine and feminine. The prostitutes were beautiful and feminine. Not all, but the mass majority of prostitutes, I'm talking about, they walk the streets. If you live in Dallas, you know what I'm talking about? Like on Harry Hines, how they walk the street. If you live in Memphis, Lamar, on Lamar Street, them little tramps. Them some little busted down, toe down, funk ass, nasty little bras. Ooh, who buying that coochie? I guess the truck drivers. You know, they eat out of any parking lot where they park their trucks. Nasty. Ooh. But the women were beautiful. Black women were beautiful and feminine. And we just had a overabundance of just beautifulness in black women. Then after 1997, and when I went to my HBCU, my beloved Grambling State University, man, the prettiest women on the planet went to my school. Shout out to everybody. There was a female, there was a few of them that won all that. But for the most part, when I was there from 89 to 94, even when I was out around there in grad school, the baddest women you ever want to see from California, Michigan, Mississippi, Louisiana, Illinois, New York. There were some Mississippis there. Bad. All 5 boroughs, just bad chick, beautiful. Well, did they all behave? Well, you know, they had some attitudes around there, but they was beautiful. Whew. Sorority chicks, cute. Shout out to the AKs in the 90s. God damn. Oh yeah, I ain't sleeping on the Deltas. But the AKs they did something for a lot of fellas. They were the epitome of feminine women and cute. I ain't say the Deltas had like ugly chicks and all that. They had some rough ones in there, but they placed a line, I think in fall 93, I think they had a line of 102. They said, okay. They had a bunch of little babies on there. Cute. But I'm saying all that to say, boys were still masculine. The term boys will be boys wasn't made an ugly, dirty word, or ugly, dirty statement. But that's me. I'm part of Gen X. Gen X gave birth to what we call millennials. These millennials now like late 20s, they're in their 30s up to 45 years old. Let me tell y'all something. I'm not even going to go. There's something about these millennial young men. They've always been separated off of what's called young professionals. They always look kind of different, you know, the tight suits. But I'm learning something. There's something different about these millennial guys. They're a little too fancy, free, and loose with their masculinity. There's a lot of, you're around a bunch of millennial guys who are supposed to be professionals, you know, working corporate America or human resources and You know, they working all in corporate America. You around a lot of these cats, it's like an air of effeminate energy in their room. And it's like, there's something up with these dudes. Because again, I came over with uncles and old men who were mechanics and preachers, and I'm talking about real men. Now, did they behave badly? A lot of them did. Yeah, they drank, they smoked. They probably smacked the woman around when she had too much mouth. Yeah, that's when women act the best. When they knew that pimping was able to be activated at a heartbeat. Say it again, B word. Swack, I don't advocate that, but sometimes, shit, a little shove into the wall till you hear that cracking sound. Shout out to A-Ball and MJJ. Well, I'll tell you, they have worked a political move on black men in this country. You know, white men have always been a little, you know, we all thought they was just, liberal white men have always looked like sexually ambiguous. You don't know if they were gay or straight or what they did. They just always look like, yeah, okay, sure. But you got so many black men in their 20s and their 30s who are supposed to be young, professional, educated men and work in corporate America that's so effeminate. You can feel the energy. They might have wives. They might not be gay, but that effeminate energy. And then today they've been successful in their campaign to drown out masculinity. But y'all know what the women have been so toxic masculinity. He has a problem with women. Toxic masculinity, misogyny, misogynoir, all that shit. Let me tell y'all something. Fellas, y'all been sold a rough and a lying ass bill of goods. You know why I look back on those men back in the day? Those uncles that's over 50, that's over 60. Those are real men. These little dudes today, I'm telling y'all, fella, if you over 50 like I am, 55 or 60 or hell, you want them hard 48-year-olds, go and be around. Let's go to one of these kind of young professional environments. Just kind of observe this shit. Observe the men and observe the women. What has happened, the definition of masculinity has been changed. When it's applied to men, masculinity is given a label of toxic. If you stand up for yourself, if you put a woman in her place, if you, don't give a damn who in the room, you say, oh, I'm gonna do me. You can't tell me what to do. You know, you do you, strong, whatever. You're called toxic. If you don't mind verbally, if you get to it physically, putting a woman in check, you know, that masculine part of you in bed. You know, when something needs to be done, you get it done. Ain't no arguing, ain't no debating. But, and fellas, y'all know how y'all call these women masculine? They're so masculine. You know, they're not feminine. You know what has happened? The definitions have changed. Hold on, I'm taking my shades off so y'all can see my eyes when I tell y'all this shit. What's up, Tino? Cuzzo, they have literally hijacked masculinity. When it's applied to a man, it is considered toxic and dangerous and misogynoir. But when a woman, y'all see all these old masculine, hard shoulder, big back, smart mouth, unrelentless, intolerable bras today, wearing this heavy makeup and, you know, and all this shit, lifting cars with her bare hands. You know what she's called? Strong and independent and capable. Isn't that something? Black men who wear their masculinity on their zipper, on their shirt, y'all, they're called misogynoir and toxic. And I said, God damn, they done pulled a fast one on us, and they was able to usher in this new generation of 30-something, mid, 18. Here they act like some little feminine little dudes in high school. They play football. You ever notice how these young guys they recruit? They play football. Half of them be halfway switching down the goddamn field. Y'all notice that? I noticed because I work in crowd management as a part-time hustle. They have football games at some of these venues where I work, right? And the little boys in high school, they literally be switching in their pads. I said, whoa, am I seeing this shit? Then their mama wiping their face with a towel and all this. I said, wow, he just made a tackle, but he switched his little ass on. I said, whoa, that little fella gonna have something to tell some folks. He running over dudes and all this with that Heisman, but he's switching. But guess what? He in the house with his mama, but a coach was able to get him out the house and get him to play football. But they got a lot of feminine traits. And a lot of these young professional black men, and listen how they talk. They almost talk like the women. The women talk harder than a lot of these little young 30-year-olds, young teenage boys, and 20-something-year-old so-called young professionals up to 35 and 38 years old. Just start paying attention. Real masculine men, start paying attention. If you're in your 30s and you hear about what's called a young professional event or something called grown and sexy, just kind of go in there and observe. You'll see what I'm talking about. The women have taken on the masculinity and the men have surrendered. Because you can't make a real man do shit. Well, a lot of these guys have surrendered to the loud white noise and said, well, let me tone my manhood down so I won't hear these bitches' mouths. When did they do that at? The pimps didn't do it in the 70s. The players didn't do it in the 80s. And we sure didn't do it in the 90s. These dudes have literally tightened their pants up, tighten their suits up, and shut their mouths because they don't want to hear the women get on their ass. And they invite women in spaces where they don't belong. Did y'all hear what I said? If it is an event for black men, what the hell are these women doing over here? I'm just going to leave it at that. These dudes, their manhood has been compromised. They've literally given it over. And a lot of these young men who was raised by mothers, well, they've been groomed into being soft-ass dudes. Now, when it comes to another man, they got plenty of neck and plenty of mouth. Talking shit, want to fight, but when it comes to bitches, they cow down. And you the man of the race. You scared of your women, but that's how they raise these dudes. So just go and check that energy out, because I'm a man of a particular age. I'm 57 years old. And I lived through 3 decades of us. And this 90s, 2000 decades of us, we're in trouble. These dudes. Just check out what they wear. Just check them out, guys. Then just silently shake your head like I do. And like I did. This is weird. So, masculinity, when it's on a woman, on a black woman, it's called she's strong. She's powerful. But masculinity on a black man, he toxic. He got a problem with women. Girl, don't trust him. But y'all want to hear the truth about all this? You know who got all the pussy in high school? Who get all the pussy now? The toxic masculine men. And all you do trying to be cater to women and be accommodating, y'all pussy count is low. Boy, isn't this something? How y'all think I'm lying? If you was that motherfuckers in the street, or you got 3 baby mamas, 4 baby mamas, you know what I'm talking about. You one guy that got 3 baby mamas, you know what I'm talking about. You toxic as fuck. And they love you. And I don't hate. One thing I learned from growing up in an environment of pimping, you never knock a man hustle how he get these hoes. You never knock it. But one thing about it, women have to use their own legs to walk in the direction of that guy. So I don't feel sorry for these chicks that end up with an Ike Turner or a David Ruffin. Bitch, you walked up in, you grinned in his face. You accepted his pimping. So what's the problem? That's what you like. And you so-called gentlemen that your mama raised you to be, isn't that something? A lot of these single mamas raise their sons to be dudes who they never gave no pussy to in high school or in college. All of us had little simp in us. Me growing up in domestic violence, my simp battery was charged. I was a little boy watching my aunt, my grandmother get abused by men in the house and living room, whatever. And so, as a little boy, I said, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to treat women like that. I didn't finally wake up until I got, like in high school, going to college, like, hey, this ain't working for me. Being a friend to bitches don't work for me. I'm trying to be nice because I am a genuinely nice man, but you can't collect them with no bait on the hook. So kindness don't catch them. You got to act a fool with them. You got to show them that you'll knock a tooth loose if the bitch get out of line. I know, ladies, y'all intelligent now, y'all. That ain't true. But look at all the wrong dudes that are having all the kids about women giving all the babies to these dudes. Then when they get the babies from the bad dudes, then they want the simps and the gentlemen to take up the slack. That's how they do. Not all, but too many, most. Because we all saw it. So, guys, you need to reclaim your masculinity. If you need to read some books or go to some masculinity coaches, you millennial guys, y'all not helping the cause. You're not. You actually, guys, y'all making women sicker by acting like bitches. And one thing about a woman, I don't care what she is, they do not respect a bitch-ass dude. They do not respect a dude to let her have her way. Do not respect a dude who'll ever tell her to shut her goddamn mouth. They don't respect them. They don't. Y'all seen these dudes, these chicks be hugging you and saying thank you for the date. And she'll respond to a text that says WYD, what you doing? And that's who she give all the good coochie to in the head to. And you around here think you need to, well, say, well, on day 3, I know she's gonna put out. You dumb. That ain't how it works. That's how old bitches tell you to do. But when she was young, she gave who she wanted some pussy in 30 minutes, or not more than 3 days, the same night. That's why they call it one night stands. So, I just wanted to share that. This a feminine energy in these millennial guys. Tight ass clothes, hoochie daddy shorts. Let me see about my shorts. Oh, okay. You know, and just very loose and fancy free with their masculinity. Their masculinity is too goddamn expendable to me. Too expensive for me. When I growing up, boys wore blue, girls wore pink. Now these dudes today wear patterns. Come on, somebody. But anyway, this is your man Rico. I just want to share that. It's your man Rico. These are my thoughts, not yours. Go to my YouTube channel, Rico the Opinionist. We'll talk in the future. Peace.